So I ended up finding a better way to play Ironeye with this bleed assassin build. With it, you can shred bosses on your own with no help. I'm telling you, this actually feels broken. It focuses heavily on weaving in and out of attack ranges and constantly proccing bleed and your weak point to cause massive stagger damage. I will be showing you not one, but 2 different ways to play this build effectively. Here's how the build works. If you want to begin to shred, you need to be well read. And how the stats work for each character. The Ironeye has an A in Dexterity and a B in Arcane. This is very integral to the build because this means that the Ironeye isn't tied to only using bows. He has a B in Arcane. That is where your bleed buildup is going to be coming from. And each time you bleed proc, this is guaranteed you will get more aura. This is an aura farming build. So if you want to be like Sung Jin Woo, you gotta listen carefully. You can scale with weapons like Rivers of Blood and the Eleanor Pole Blade solely because of that B in Arcane, and that's going to be a high enough stat in my opinion to where you can really get a lot of mileage out of these weapons. Ironeye is just as capable as being a melee class, and this build works the best when you combine melee with range. Some notable Ashes of War you want to get to really maximize your bleed procs are Sword Dance and Unsheath. Sword Dance and Unsheath are really good because Sword Dance is more for if you want to proc your status elements more, while Unsheath is really good for doing high stagger damage so you can get more riposts. Both of these are very fair ways to play, but if you don't find either of these, any arcane scaling Ash of War will do just fine. These are the relics that give me the most consistency, with a highlight one being recovering stamina every time I attack you. This is so I can meat ride the enemy as hard as possible. They want to bounce on me and do tricks on it? Shit, we could do a whole performance because like they never seem to leave you alone when you're low HP. Never! This one rune allows me to keep the aggro up as long as I possibly can and get rewarded for being in their face. Main weapons you want to look out for are literally anything that procs bleed, pretty self-explanatory. A highlight is a dual katana setup because when you're close to them you can spam jumping attacks, but besides that, pretty much anything with innate bleed and you're good to go.
Eleanor's what?
Yeah, it's over. Cypher it's over. Circle's coming. You should dip out.
No, we can do it.
Yeah, this is pretty much going to be 99% of your encounters when you have the full build fleshed out. At this point, I had so many things going. My passives were increasing my attack. Whenever I bled someone, I would have increased bleed when I procced bleed. Like, this was the only run I've ever gotten to level 15 on. And it was because of the pole blade. If no one got me, guess who got me? Besides my voice crack, the pole blade. To really maximize this playstyle, something that helps me a lot is when I'm playing Ironeye, I actually have my bow in my left hand because this frees up my right hand slot to have a main weapon. For me, this feels pretty comfortable. If you ever need to aim your bow for getting headshots, you can just two-hand your bow and then aim regularly. But outside of that, you have a fully accessible melee moveset. That's why this build oftentimes out damages pure bow builds from other Ironeyes. So please allow me to demonstrate. This is one of the fastest day 2 boss kills I think I've ever gotten.
Chat. Oh my gosh.
No bias, just pure blending. You see the damage? 10 seconds have elapsed. He's on half health. If you want to have a good indicator on if you're playing well, I think every enemy you're fighting, they're a boss, they should always have a weak point on them because of how often you're proccing it on them. You should always be using your skill to give them a weak point. It just makes this 10 times better. One tip is you want to be using your marking skill as a way to dodge. If you ever have your marking skill active, it actually gives you iframes when you use the skill. So if an opponent is about to charge you, use it and time it so that you have the invincibility frames while attacking and marking them at the same time. I have to confess something to you guys so I don't lie to you. This build is kind of squishy. The Ironeye is meant to be played at range, so this is a hyper glass cannon. Like, you should not be getting hit, and this has a pretty high skill ceiling, which is exactly why the second playstyle is dual armaments, baby. Twice the danger, but twice the damage. A lot of your early runs is gonna look like you grabbing either a whip or a katana. Try to secure a katana as quickly as possible because dual katanas, in my opinion, are the best iteration of dual weapons that you can have. Some notable contenders are dual rapiers and dual great rapiers, but dual katanas is going to be your best bet. The jumping attacks on these, not only do they cause high stagger, but they also build up a good amount of bleed, and when you combine that with proccing your weakness point mark, you're going to be getting a lot of burst damage very often, and that's going to lead to stagger breaks, to where you can do your riposts, It's a really hyper aggressive but really fun offensive iteration of the Ironeye that doesn't necessarily rely on the bow all the time. Passives you want to look out for is anything that's increasing your jump attack damage, anything that increases your damage when you're wielding 2 armaments at the same time, since we'll be having these out to get our main damage, or anything that improves your survivability, like improving your dodging invincibility windows, or improving your poise, or your overall defense. Anything that can increase your survivability so you can get more of these jumping attacks off is something that you're really going to prioritize. With that, I appreciate you watching the video. Join my Discord if you want to get some runs going, and subscribe.
Bitch!